Welcome to Stillworks and Brewing. My name is Randy. This is a channel that's all about home distillation and brewing. So what are we going to get into today? Well, I've had a lot of questions on how my system works, how I do things. So I thought we'd get a kind of behind the scenes video going on that. I'm sitting in front of my brew house here. We're going inside and check everything out. But first things first, you know what I'm going to ask. Hey, if you haven't done it, you got a chance to do it yet, please hit that subscribe button. You'd be surprised how much that helps us out. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome back. We're inside our brew house right now. I guess the first thing we want to go over is how I use my water and fill my pots and stuff like that. Okay, so So first off, all my water that comes into my brew house, anything that I use for consumable water, you know, for my worts or mashes or whatever, I run through a whole house filter. It's a carbon filter, just to get a taste out that could be in my water, just to make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, if you notice, I got a hook on a hose. So I will fill my brew pot up with water there to make hot water, whatever the case may be. So I could just turn that on, fill it up. Okay? Okay, so this is my brew stand. I built it myself. So, back to the water. Alright, we have our brew pot heating up our water. We got it to the temperature we want. Okay, so that I don't have to pick up, and 9 gallons of water is a little bit difficult to deal with. These are the silicone hoses. I would hook one onto the still pot. The other end will go to the inlet of the pump. The next hose would be the outlet of the pump. And what I use, if I have my grain or in my mash tun, I want to put water in my mash tun. Okay, so all you have to do is turn the valve on the still pot or the brew pot. I got a valve here so I can adjust the flow, and I also have this valve here to bleed off any air that's coming out of the hoses, because sometimes you lose prime in the pump, and it's an easy way to get prime, so that works out pretty good. Okay, so the other thing, if you notice, my brew pump is connected to these two switches. So this switch here is this receptacle, and this one here is that receptacle. Okay, so I can pump in the amount of hot water that I want into my mash tun with my grain or whatever I'm doing. Okay, so then once that's done, what I would end up doing is close that up. And what I usually do is then any of the water that's left over in the brew pot, I usually try to get it up near boiling, and then I'll pump the rest of it into my hot liquor tank save it for later on in the process. Okay? Okay, so say my mash is done, and I want to sparge out. I can turn my mash tun to the side, and I can start sparging out. You've seen me do it, but I've sparged that into my brew pot. I can do a batch sparge if I want, add more hot water, whatever I particularly want to do, and sparge over into my brew pot. Okay? So if I was making beer, then you get done your boil and all that. Okay, so the next thing I would have to do is I'm going to connect up my wort chiller. Okay, so if I was connecting up my wort chiller, this is a plate chiller. They work out very well. So I got this hose that's coming out of my pump. So actually it's coming from a brew pot through my pump, and it will go to wort in right here. I use these cam lock fittings. I use these hoses for multiple purposes. So you would hook the one connection there. The other connection would go to the other side. And then this would go into my fermentation bucket, okay? Now, the water connections. I have this hose. It's going, this would be my drain hose. So that would go into the sink. Alright. So that would be water out. So that gets connected to the water out there. Okay, and then the other hose which would be water in. It's all labeled on the thing. And I put these quick couplers on there because it just makes it nice to do. Makes it easy. So let me show you where. So there's the water out that's going into the sink, and here's the valve for the water out that's going to the chiller. Okay, and I use these two hoses for my still too, for the cooling water for the condenser. I got the same quick couplers and all that good stuff. Okay, so if you do notice, I got a my brew pot. It's heated by propane gas. My still, I have converted it over to electric, and I plan on to convert my brew pot over to electric. All right. If I do use the gas inside, I mean, I'm well ventilated. I'll leave all the doors and windows open, and then I'll also have a nice big exhaust fan up there just to make sure everything is well ventilated. Okay. All right. So back in the next step is we have the our wort or mash into a fermenter. The next thing we need to do is we need to put it in our fermentation room. Okay, so this is our fermentation room here. I guess it's about 5 foot by 6 foot, somewhere in that neighborhood. I got fermenter my fast fermenter hanging here on the wall, and then I'll just put whatever I'm fermenting in here, and I'll store stuff in here because this is heated and air conditioned, and I like to keep my spices and whatever else in here, just keep it out of the temperature change. And the way I control the temperature in here is I use, I think it's the Inkbird ITC 308. Yeah, it has been a very nice, it works fantastic. Okay, I had no problems with it at all, and it maintains the temperature, and there's a few different ways you can set it. It works very nice. Okay. Okay, so this is my brew house. I like it. It works for me. Everybody does things just a little bit different, and that's what's so fantastic about this hobby. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Last thing to say is, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.